In tonight's headlines, BIL discusses Dangriga Multipurpose Complex, Memorandum of Understanding signed for school feeding programs, joint border security workshop hosted in Belize City, and we take a look at the Belize Building Act amendment. These stories and more on this week's edition of Belize Now. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, November 17th, 2017. I am Janelle Mencias. Before we bid farewell to 2017, Punta Gorda and Dangriga towns will officially welcome their brand new sporting complex. We caught up with the General Manager of Belize Infrastructure Limited, Christy Mastre, while she was checking up on the complex in Dangriga.
Sporting facilities around the country have been significantly improved by the government of Belize through the Belize Infrastructure Limited, investing millions of dollars for the benefit of the respective communities who enjoy those facilities. In some instances, some municipalities are beneficiaries of brand new facilities. Dangriga Town is one of those places, and BIL General Manager told us that the building was designed to meet the requirements to host international basketball and volleyball competitions.
We want to really enhance sporting in the South, as well as diversify where national and international competitions can get to be played. So that was something critical. So we made sure we captured the height we needed for international competition at both this facility and the one that's similar that will be coming on stream in another week or two in the South in PG.
The building will provide Dangriga its first indoor basketball court, which you could say is the main feature of the building. The auditorium has bleachers that can seat 1,000 people. Master gave us more details.
We have the Connors Wood Court, which is the professional grade acoustical shock FIBA qualified wood court, which was absolutely critical in getting that, both this facility and the facility in PG, because we hear about the competition, we hear about people's needs, we hear about how you really have to heighten the level of play in the game. With that, we also have the Garrett backboards, which of course are FIBA approved as well, international grade. And the great thing about these backboards, you can see they're padded and they can completely collapse and be rolled away into our storage facilities in the back. So we can have the full court open for any other game or any other function we want to have without those actually being on here.
The facility also has a permanent elevated concrete stage with 2 access points to the backstage, which has 2 large changing rooms with restrooms. There are also 2 locker rooms with restrooms to facilitate the teams, as well as large rooms that can be used for storage if desired. The size and design of the building will make it a suitable venue for various activities.
It's a fairly nice entrance because we had to have the ample space to allow for concessions, public restrooms, male, female on both sides. And we have mezzanine areas which allow for social events, pre or post game, or if the sports council or any other groups want to have any kind of functions up front, there's some offices there as well as a small conferencing room, and they can use that without even opening the doors into the facility itself, which is nice. It is a large facility, so the tendency for it to want to be a hurricane facility is important. It's elevated approximately 3.5 to 4 feet off grade. We have it at a minimum of a category 3, so it can be used as that, and that's kind of an added benefit. It was never intentional, but it's certainly an added benefit to the community.
And what is the cost for such a structure?
Overall, the budget for the facility was a little under $3.5 million. That includes the equipment purchasing that we did, as well as all of the civil works you'll see happening on the grounds now. We're working on fixing a lot of the fencing and a lot of the access and the driveways into the facility too, which will only enhance the approach to the project itself.
The facility will be managed by the Town Council in partnership with the Sports Council. Master said that all municipal councils and the National Sports Council have received training on the maintenance of their facilities. Monthly reports will be provided by the municipalities on their management of their facilities.
Once they're off the ground, they have the ability to generate enough revenue, and the maintenance costs are still fairly low because they're fairly sturdy facilities with not too many overhead operating costs.
For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth.
The completion date for the Dangriga Multipurpose Complex is set for December, and the Punta Gorda facility was officially inaugurated today. We'll have more on that in next week's episode of Belize Now. Representatives from the Ministries of Agriculture, Education and Health gathered in Belmopan on Thursday, November 16th to sign a Memorandum of Understanding. Our team joined the gathering to learn more. The morning of Thursday, November 16th, ended with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education, Honorable Patrick Faber, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Godwin House, and the Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ramon Figueroa. The signing signifies the commitment of the three ministries in collaborating to strengthen school feeding programs in Belize. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Jose Alpuche, told us more about the significance of the signing.
The signing of this MOU marks the formalization of an excellent collaboration we have between the Ministry of Agriculture, Education and Health in terms of having the school gardens, having that input into the school feeding program, improving the nutrition of the kids, but also to teaching them some values as it relates to growing what they eat, helping to take care of their own. And a wider program from the agriculture perspective is that we're encouraging the school feeding programs to buy from local family farms, so that you have the community, in effect, participating in a much broader, much deeper school feeding program.
The initiative, which was officially launched in April 2016 in Belize, is born out of the Mesoamerica Hunger Free Program, which is a cooperation agreement between the Government of Mexico and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. Initially, the idea sprouted from the ministry's desire to engage in nearby communities after establishing an agricultural outreach station in Halacte.
The school feeding program, school garden program was identified as one possible area of collaboration. We took it on, did the first project, and then the Mexican ambassador came around and said we could collaborate with them under the Mesoamerica Sin Hambre program under AMEXID, their foreign aid agency. And they assisted, along with the FAO, implementing what is called the Brazil experience in terms of school feeding program.
Alpuche explained how the schools in San Antonio, Santa Cruz, Santa Elena, and Pueblo Viejo were selected to participate in the program.
We had looked at helping those that are helping themselves, in the sense that the schools we selected already had a rudimentary program and needed help. And that was a basic criteria. Why? Because this, while it's government-led, agency-led, for it to be sustainable, absolutely requires the involvement of the school, but more than the school, the community at large.
While Belize ranks well among Mesoamerican countries as it pertains to indicators of nutritional status, 15 to 16% of our population is diagnosed with diabetes, and roughly the same with hypertension, both chronic, non-communicable diseases. In addition, 21.5% of the population is affected by obesity, which is a growing epidemic among children in Belize. For Dr. Ramon Figueroa, this program is a step in the right direction and one that will certainly support ongoing efforts within his ministry.
As people may be aware, one of the key problems in addressing this huge worldwide epidemic is good nutrition practices, good lifestyles, and physical activity. And we start to need to address this from the very young age. I think this initiative is a key initiative, and I think having this kind of ceremony to emphasize at the highest level the commitment of the three key ministries in addressing this is, I think, important.
For the Minister of Education and his ministry, improved nutrition means improved education.
We are very, very happy, of course, in the ministry because, as I've been saying and we've said all along, that nutrition is a very important element of education. We know that the brain works much better if it is being fed the right nutrients, and so our children are better able to learn, to grasp the concepts if they go to school with a full stomach, but also with a full stomach with the right nutrients. Because, as I pointed out today too, there are some who are eating at school or eating from home and going to school, but they're not eating the right food. And of course, that can affect their learning as well. So this is a great day for us in the Ministry of Education. And of course, that is made even more happy for us because we're able to partner with our sister ministries.
And while school children are the immediate beneficiaries of these gardens and feeding programs, the minister says its impact extends beyond just school compounds.
School feeding programs can also lend itself to other things, us being self-sustainable and also helping with the economy. I was saying that, if you look at our economy, we import much more than we export. And imagine if we were able to produce our own food and we could have the kind of change in mindset that allows us to want to eat the products that we produce as opposed to importing all of this product. That could certainly help us in terms of the balance of our trade.
The benefit of the school program goes beyond just nutrition, as the children will also become knowledgeable in agriculture. The minister hopes this will feed into the Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto's recent promise of a new Escuela Secundaria Técnica Mexico in Toledo, which features a program in agriculture business.
The 4 communities in Toledo that are being used right now as the basis for this initiative, Santa Cruz, Santa Elena, Pueblo Viejo, San Antonio, are key. And our collaboration with the Mexicans for supporting this initiative is tremendous and actually very, very timely as well. You may have remembered from the visit of the Mexican president that there was an agreement that a new Escuela Mexico will be built, and we're looking to put that right there in that community of Pueblo Viejo. So all of these surrounding villages are going to feed into that school, that high school. So it's a wonderful chance for us to study what is going to happen and then later on see if we can duplicate it in other parts of the South, but also the wider country of Belize.
For Belize Now, I am Janelle Mencias. Today, the school cafeterias and school gardens were officially inaugurated in the Toledo district. After the break, more stories. Stay with us.
Every day when my daddy gets up to go to work, he says this is for me to have a better life. But I say, Daddy, we have a better life. Mommy don't have to leave home to wash my clothes anymore. We don't have to go all the way to a pump and back home to wash every bucket. No, Mommy just have to turn on the pipe and wash up and make we bathe as long as we want. Even the school teacher make we wash we hand the pipe instead of a nasty bucket like before. See Daddy, life is better with water than life.
This week, from November 13th to November 17th, a joint border security workshop was held for participants from the Customs and Immigration Departments. Our Belize Now team was at the opening ceremony where we found out more about the 5-day training.
After identifying a need to employ and implement crime-fighting strategies which would effectively protect the region's borders, the CARICOM Implementing Agency for Crime and Security, IMPACS, coordinated a training for border security officers in Belize. Members of both the Belize Customs and Immigration Departments were able to participate in a week-long passenger interdiction course that consisted of advanced interviewing and interrogation techniques. Honorable Beverly Williams, Minister of State in the Ministry of Immigration, told us more about the significance of the training.
The training really is very, very ideal for Belize, with Belize being on the lower index in almost all those international rating agencies. This one is important because it involves us looking regionally at how this type of sharing and collaboration is done between customs and how important it is for border security and, of course, reducing the risk of terrorism, illegal drugs, human trafficking, and all those things that Belize must take to the higher level.
Earl Harris, CARICOM Impact's Assistant Director of Strategic Services, told us how the training is expected to strengthen capacity in preventing and detecting illegal activities at the borders.
It's a very practical exercise. Like I say, we have brought trainers who themselves were trained by Customs and Border Protection from the US. So they focus on passenger profiling, interdiction, how you determine if someone is a high-risk passenger, baggage examination, container examination, the tools and procedures, document examination, how do you identify the imposters, someone using false documents, stolen and lost travel documents, all the issues that they face as border security officers. It focuses on that.
He further emphasized that Belize can expect new attitudes in terms of border security.
Long after we are gone, Belize will be able to reflect on this and based on the new attitudes of the border protection officers. Because as we graduate, I always tell them, you came here as customs and immigration, you leave as border security officers. So you will see they're having enhanced skills, because this training has theory and practical. One day of the week, normally on a Thursday afternoon, we take them to the airport and they get a chance to apply what they have learned. So you will see benefits coming out of this exercise.
The training demonstrated the use of modern technologies and scientific techniques to effectively combat organized crime and terrorism. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
A bill to amend the Belize Building Act was passed earlier this year in the House of Representatives. Belize Now found out what changes have been made through the new legislation.
Since its implementation, the Belize Building Act amendment has addressed several long-standing issues within the building sector. Arnaldo Hernandez of the Central Building Authority, CBA, spoke to us about some of the issues that led to the reform process.
Some of the issues that we had faced in the past has been issues of the composition of the technical committee that carries out the approval and revision of plans within the municipality, as well the clear jurisdiction of how we should go about with regards to the approval, both the building unit within the municipality and the Central Building Authority. This amendment has allowed us to clearly define the jurisdiction as well of the composition of this new building unit.
The main objective for the amendment to the Building Act is to ensure that there is the roles and functions of the Central Building Authority and the local authorities, which are the municipal bodies, the town and city councils, that they are clarified and strengthened so that we have a smooth operation in the regulation of building in Belize.
There is now a distinct scope and jurisdiction of the CBA and the local authority building units. So what does this mean for the local authorities in executing their urban development plans? CEO in the Ministry of Local Government, Kerry Belisle, clarified.
Once you live within the confines of a municipality, the responsibility for construction lies solely with the local authority. And outside of that, it's the CBA. With the adjustment in this legislation, it will enable each local authority to have not only the legislative cover, but also have the full responsibility of ensuring that they're able now to coordinate and direct the building process in conjunction with their own municipal development plans.
The legislation now ensures that the public gets better service by simplifying the procedures and reducing response time. The structure of the local authority building units has also been reformed.
Although the council has its broad mandate in terms of where development should occur and what type of development should occur, The technical aspects of approving will be done by the building unit that would house trained individuals, and we think that that will lend itself to not only a technically proficient process, but also a speedy process in terms of getting applications in and out of the unit.
Eventually, the municipalities will have a database system along with the Central Building Authority, which will allow applicants to put their applications in online, and there will be instantaneous or real-time exchange of information between the building units at the local level and the Central Building Authority.
Under the amendment, the definition of building has been altered. Small farmers benefit from this as they are now exempted from certain regulations.
In the Principal Act, which this amendment now seeks to clarify, the main problem is that there were certain structures which are now exempt under this new amendment. For example, certain farm structures and small domestic structures within cities and towns.
Before the amendment, public buildings, which fall under the Central Building Authority, included commercial and institutional buildings. CEO Denton Bilal explained the change in public buildings control.
What the amendment now does is that it now puts the commercial buildings under the authority of the local authorities, the municipalities, while the Central Building Authority retains control for institutional public buildings, for example, schools, hospitals, sports facilities, and so on.
Should there be a grievance by anyone, a tribunal has been established to hear appeals.
Anyone who is aggrieved by a decision of either the Central Building Authority or one of the building units can, within 14 days of that decision, appeal to a tribunal to be established under this amendment. The tribunal will consist of 3 persons, a person nominated by the Association of Engineers, one by the Association of Architects, and one by the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who shall be either an architect or an engineer.
The Economic Development Council, EDC, was responsible for the overview and recommendations for the reform process. An EDC private sector member told us how the amendment will impact local businesses and citizens.
The agriculture sector is the competitive sector. That's the sector that drives the economic engine, and to be very specific, that's for example the poultry barns. Very large, basically just a roof, no improved floor. Earlier, under the old law, they needed approval, which on a square foot basis was very high. That could have affected the price of the fried chicken on the plate of everyday Belizeans food. Whereas now that no more needed, there will be there's no need we have become more competitive where we don't have to add any cost onto that.
Now that the amended Belize Building Act is in place, the work continues to strengthen the building sector.
The local authorities are now in the process of recruiting their staff for the building units. Training of those staff will take place commencing mid-December, and it is envisioned that those units will be up and running by the middle of January or the 3rd week in January.
The Central Building Authority role shall be to certify the building unit, ensure that these persons have the capacity to carry out the duties as required by the legislation. Thereafter, we, the authority, shall be charged with the responsibility of developing new building code and standards. With the increase of natural disasters in the region, we see the importance of ensuring codes and standards are developed and adhered to within the country. The public health and safety is our priority, and implementing these codes will be our #1 goal.
For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth.
When we return, our segment In Case You Missed It. Don't go anywhere.
Apply today. For more information, including scholarship opportunities, visit teachbelize.org.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Home Affairs, Honorable Wilfred Elrington, at the invitation of the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, is currently on a working visit to Taiwan. The main purpose of the visit is to explore concrete opportunities to implement the Agreement on Police Cooperation, signed between Belize and Taiwan on September 7, 2017. In this context, Minister Elrington met with officials from the National Police Agency in the Ministry of the Interior of Taiwan, as well as the Central Police University and the Taiwan Police College. The minister also toured the Taiwan Crime Investigation Bureau and the K-9 unit of the National Police Agency. As a result of the minister's visit, Taiwan has agreed to make a grant of $500,000 for the purchase of equipment for the Belize Police Department, including body cameras, motorcycles, handcuffs, drones, a Celebrite machine, and breathalyzer equipment to test for driving under the influence of alcohol. During the visit, the minister made courtesy calls on His Excellency Dr. Tsai Ing-wen, President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and His Excellency Dr. David Lee, the Foreign Minister of Taiwan. The minister and his delegation are expected to return to the country on Sunday, November 19th. From November 6th to the 9th, Belize hosted youth leaders from across the globe for the 5th World Youth Conference. Under the theme Globally Running to 2030, Becoming Sustainably Strong, the 250 young men and women representing 45 different countries convened at the Ramada Princess Hotel in Belize City, with an objective of bringing the voice of youth into a transnational deliberation on how to make the post-2015 development agenda a reality. The conference ended with a closing ceremony and youth awards on Thursday, November 9th, where both local youth leaders and visiting delegates were recognized for their contributions in various sectors. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. From all of us here at the Government Press Office, happy Garifuna Settlement Day. Have a great week. Until next time.